the most certain you'll be included. Let me join the chats. Can't see anything.
Will you invite Levi too for the podcast?
They said they're not available for
Oh,
now, so maybe for the next one.
okay.
And they can come into the Twitch. I'm just gonna share the links with some people here, and then we're gonna grow. So much so. Alright, since we don't even have music, I might as well start, and then we'll join the chat later. At least for YouTube. Because Twitch is supposedly working better. So, ladies and gentle people, welcome to the show. This is Design It Fabulous. We're gonna talk about games, discuss games, philosophy, connection to life, all that good jazz. And this is a very special moment for me, because this is the first time I'm joined by my good old friends, or good young friends, depending on which. I have three other nice guys here. Olgi is one of them. You can say
me.
hi, yeah. Nothing is rehearsed, don't worry about it. We have Skulls.
You can see that nothing is rehearsed.
Yeah, nothing is. You can see, yeah.
Yeah, nothing is rehearsed.
The wonders of live podcasting. Yeah. So this is more of an. This will be like a podcast. The video feed is secondary, but there will be a video feed, likely with the Tarkov wiki, and maybe Hunt wiki and stuff like that. But the main thing is us talking about the game. And there's my third good friend, Chris.
Hello, guys.
So topics for today. Let's. Well, how does a slightly small streamer usually starts this? Let's crack straight into it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start talking about spawns, because that's the favorite thing, especially on Factory and on Reserve.
Well, not only factory or reserve.
Not only
Interchange is one of the
Exact-
worst ones in my opinion.
exactly.
For sure,
exactly.
right.
Do you want to share your thoughts on how do you think it should be done, or do you want me to start it? Really up to you.
You can just start it off.
All right. So my thing with spawns is I truly believe that spawns in this game work in a classical way, of course, like in any other FPS. Basically, you spawn in the map and you do your thing, and supposedly you spawn in at the same time, right? Supposedly. It doesn't really happen that often as it needs to be. But I think that the core gameplay and what they want to achieve with it doesn't really yield itself that well to this type of spawn system. It's just simply random. They try to distance the spawns and pull them apart and stuff, but just based on how the loot is distributed in the map, people are gonna converge, obviously. Which, on the one hand, is good for PvP, but on the other hand, it's not good because the PvP is sometimes really short-lived because of this. But if you don't touch on the dynamic loot system, which we're gonna talk about later anyway, then I really think that the spawns should be done in a way that when you spawn in a person, and you spawn in the second and every other upcoming, then you need to make sure that you don't trap or don't leave other players in a spot where it's very easy to guess where they are. Because I think that's the biggest problem right now, is that you know that there are guys spawning exactly where, basically.
Well,
Because you know what the spawns after all.
We don't know exactly for sure, but we have a general idea of where
Yeah.
though.
And the general idea would be nice if but because some of the spawns have it that you kind of trapped. The very good example is in Factory, the glass hallway or the forklift spawn. That you spawn in there and you can guess that okay, there I spawned in between two other players or squads.
True.
And you don't even have anywhere else to go. you have one doorway out, which faces basically the two other spawns. And
That's true.
and
True.
that's, I think, just imagine just opening a door in the back of that room with another tunnel going down or something. There's two possibilities to go from there, for example.
Mhm.
But I think two is not enough. What I would do is to have a spot from which you have 5 or 6 or maybe even more, but maybe 3 is enough. I think it's a too low number of viable routes you could take as a player.
Yeah, out of every single spawn.
Yeah. So yes, you can still guess of where the other players are if they spawn close to you, but there's a much lower chance of actually encountering them or catching them, with their pants off.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest deal, I think, right now.
That's kind of where lab shines.
Well, yeah, but you know why? Because in the lab spawns, I really feel like that they did what they should do on all the other maps. That you should be able to spawn in the middle, all over the place, like in the buildings, in various rooms, similar to how scav spawns work. But even scav spawns are scarce.
That would not be good for the because if then if somebody spawns in the middle of the map, he has all the good loot.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
I really think that reworking the spawns couldn't really work without reworking the loot.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah. So that's why I brought in dynamic loot earlier. That we need to talk about that too.
I'm strongly angry with you.
Yeah.
So the thing, how is it done? Do you want Olgi to tell us how it's done in Hunt, or how do you think it should change, or do you think in Hunt is good? Hunt Showdown.
No, I don't think it's good in Hunt. I think it suffers from the more or less the same problem, because you do start in random places, but all those random places are just following the frame of the map. You always start at the border and go towards the center. You might find the boss spawn right next to you in the closest location, or it can be somewhere in the center of the map. But if you'd be spawning absolutely randomly, because you still can get a boss very close to the border of the map, so it doesn't really change things much. Then maybe it could add a bit more randomization, because now you always check your surroundings, and there might be people spawning to the right and to the left from you, because you're all hugging the border when you start. And considering the loot, well, it's probably better in Hunt in the sense that the loot is all over the map, but still with all those more or less fixed cache location, etc. If that would be completely random, it would be helpful as well, because eventually in every game like this, people start going by guides, just checking YouTube guides, wikis, etc., and they go, okay, there must be a cache register in this building, or maybe in the similar one here, because there are some well-known spawn points. If there are more randomization, more RNG in this, I think it could be more cool, because people who spend thousands of hours in the games like this, they get bored so quickly. They know all this by heart already, even the span of variation between it.
Yeah.
Then when I'm thinking about dynamic loot and stuff like that, having fixed loot also encourages people to go to a spot where they know they will find other people, because people know where it is, right?
Yeah, but you can achieve that with a certain category of loot. Like, you would know that tech spawns wouldn't be all over the map, but there would be many different locations in various corners as well in the center,
Yeah, but then you have the same problem, because people will know, okay, in this general location or general area, I can find this stuff. So they will go to the same location again and find that stuff.
Yes, but if the location is, like Reserve is a good example. I have the map up on the stream. Actually, I didn't even send you the link, right? I don't know, you don't. You have it. You have it. So this is a good example, because in the middle, there's the. Let me just go there. So this basically is the king of loots, right? The king building. It's.
Can't see your mouse though.
You can't see the mouse. It should be capture my cursor. And let me see. It doesn't really matter. You see the kill. You see this.
I see.
Okay. So the king building has really lucrative tech spawns, basically.
Yeah.
Most of the loot runs start with, let's go to king building as fast as possible, because you can find on the server racks all the good stuff. And it's usually cleaned up in the first 5 minutes anyway.
Also,
the rig.
the building to the front of the helicopter.
Yeah. It's in reserve is a good example in also concentrated loot, but it's also a good example, actually the best map in the game in which the loot is everywhere. Like you can actually make money and make good loot all over the map, but the most lucrative spots are really located in various buildings, like few buildings based on type of loot. But the interesting thing would be, I think, is to distribute those type of loots elsewhere where they are, even according to the lore or just the purpose of the loot. For example, graphics cards could be all over the map in PC blocks, and PC blocks are everywhere anyway. They could be in various storage facilities, because storage spaces are also all over most of the maps in Tarkov anyway. Like they could make it so that you still have those areas of likely you can run into some other players. So the PvP hotspots are there, but the hotspots are all over the place, and not just in people going. I know some people go up to Dome just so they can snipe down, because they know someone will try to run into this in the first 5 minutes, which is fun on one hand, but as Oji said, it gets really repetitive after a while in these games, that you can count on it so much that.
But then again, it empathizes PvP.
Yeah, but
because all the pussy players in the game, empathizing them to go into these spots actually brings them more danger.
But the fun thing is, I like how Hunt does it. Like in Hunt, there are not so much. There are loot all over the map, and every compound can have the certain type of loots, and it's kind of randomized. But the whole core gameplay of Hunt converges the players because of the boss skills.
Yeah, you have to go
or you can
or
you can avoid that totally, and it's actually easier to survive in Hunt because of that, because you can just go in.
Let's be honest. In Hunt, you do not camp the resources.
Yeah, you camp the boss.
You camp clues. You camp
the clues and camp the box.
Or the boss or the clues. Because I know a lot of kills that I did was just sitting near the clue.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do it.
But camping in itself is not bad, right? I don't think it.
No, it does emphasize PvP, because first of all, Hunt lets you know if someone is close to the clue, because it's highlighted by red.
There's a mechanic,
that's making all those annoying humming noises, etc.
Yeah.
Unless you are just sitting.
Yeah.
Unless you're just sitting with sniper rifle far away, but
would you?
Camp.
Yeah, well, yes.
No, I wouldn't, because I don't have time for it. It's simple as that. Otherwise, I probably would, but it's just very boring to
sitting and just
patiently with and then lose, because the velocity is also kind of, how hard it can be to hit someone. Large distance.
The same thing is true in Tarkov.
If they move, especially.
Although the faster bullets, the faster projectiles in Tarkov are faster than in Hunt, as far as I remember. In Hunt, there's about 800, right? Meter per second.
It depends on the gun and the bullet in Tarkov.
But in Tarkov, I think it can be 900 something.
1,000.
1,000 even. That's
1,000.
But you still feel it, especially from bigger distances. The drop as well as the lead of the shot. But that's cool.
It depends on what ammo, because like if I'm going for sniping, in Tarkov I use a TX-15 with a longer barrel and like all the attachments for it, and M995. I have like 998 bullet velocity. That means that I'm shooting 1,000 meters a second.
That's easier to handle than 500.
Yeah.
And
for real,
480.
hit somebody 300, 400, 500 meters away and just click his head. It doesn't even have a lot of lead.
Yeah. Because the maps are not even that big, by the way.
No.
Although they're big enough for fun. But I like it that there's lots of various play styles that you can still play in Tarkov. But just like in Hunt, it's not really emphasized, because either you don't have the time to sit around in bushes for that long, Or if you do, then you can do that, but it's not really the boss skill will not wait for you and stuff like that. But the same thing is true in Tarkov. Like you can play all kinds of ways, but in the end of the day, you need to get the loot out of the map in order to profit, whatever that loot may be, which is fine as long as the loot, for example, doesn't get scooped up in the first 5 or 10 minutes in a 50-minute raid.
Or you will get exit camped at D2.
That's also fun, yeah. I don't mind. To be honest, I don't mind exit campers that much. It's because
it's a challenge.
Like it's part of the game to you can meet a person on every corner. The problem is actually that you don't meet a person every corner because people don't really go every corner because they go to the hot areas, the known spots, the guide based on the guides. You know, that's really what you mentioned, that people are just starting using guides for everything because it's just making the game easier, and it's understandable. Although, as what I would do with spawns, like to specifically say how I would fix it, apart from like it's harder than just saying that this should be good, because you would need to basically what I started with, to have the spawn, and then every other spawn should have a check on, okay, but does this guy, the previous guy, has enough opportunities to run off in different directions. So what we would do is, it would be awesome also in Hunt and also in Tarkov if you would be spawning in any coordinate, basically on any location on the map. And
if you look at the spawns right now, all those yellow dots.
These are. That's why I brought it up. Yeah, these are the spawns. This means it's underground. It's in the building underground. And
if you look on reserve, spawns are pretty good, but still, because spawns are pretty good.
I don't like them. I don't like them still. Like the amount, like this south corner, these 4 spawns. They try to fix it. They put one of these, I think, into this bunker, and whenever you spawn in a bunker, there's likely no people around, or there's one more guy maybe here. But it's this area is a suicide field, basically.
I can agree with that. I think the spawns are too close together.
But the thing is, the game is just faulty sometimes, because the spawns are made like, that's what Nikita said in a podcast like some time ago, a long time ago, because people were complaining about this shit, and he said, like, if you look at the spawns, you have, like, every other spawn, like, if you have 3 spawns, and 1 spawns at the most left spawn, then there shouldn't be someone spawning in that middle spot. It should be always one in between. But that doesn't happen always.
Yeah. I mean, they try to employ an algorithm to try to prevent that, but still, I don't think it's necessarily the distance. Like, it's not really being close together. It's really having no cover whatsoever. That's the problem. Like the shoreline is the same thing. Like, there are some spawns which are good because you can immediately run into buildings or behind fences or stuff like that, or rocks. But there are some spawns on shoreline where you need, okay, I need to cross this basically open field with some hills.
Yeah.
And then if there are spawns next to you and they will expect you to run there, then you're pretty much done for. And then the thing to solve this is basically you can spawn very close to another player. It actually would be very fun. Like, imagine spawning in one of these buildings. I know that with the loot as it is right now, it would be ludicrous because you would just spawn right next to Mark Droom and stuff. It's really unbalanced. But if the loot would be really spread out more and more dynamic, then imagine spawning in the buildings. Like, one guy spawns in one of the rooms on the 3rd floor, another guy spawns in the basement, and maybe another guy spawns on 2nd, like somewhere. It doesn't really matter if you make sure they spawn at the same time. That's what I like in Hunt, to be honest. I would love the present spawn system, how it works in Hunt. I would love that in Tarkov. Like, you load in, you can even look around, you see your equipment, you can even change your hotkeys and quick slots, but you can't move and you can't click, basically. But it's awesome that you already loaded in. If they don't want to show you where you spawn in, or you don't want to orient like Nikita doesn't want you to orient yourself, then they can have a black screen or something, like some mumbling with the
hide the map.
or so
more on it.
or something like that. Or I don't know, play an animation where the guy is knocked out and you stand up from the ground and
play the raid series.
What do you mean?
Play the raid series.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, but it
Put
just
so much money into it.
Yeah.
Play the raid series.
Right.
Use it.
Yeah, but just theme music. I like how in Hunt you get that music which signifies the beginning of the hunt. Like everybody knows that, even with the text on the screen. But there's also Hunt.
There's still a lot of people AFK and being killed while AFK.
Oh, even in Tarkov, there are lots of guys. You just quickly run out for a pee, and when you come back, you're already dead. But because of the spawns, like people know where you are.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. If you you don't need to be far away. I think it would be fun to. It would be so random that you could spawn in and immediately hear footsteps above you or something, and like, who knows, that could be a scav as well, but maybe not, and that would just add to the tension. And not every game, it's because if you would make the whole map spawnable, like you can spawn here, you can spawn on this machine gun, you can spawn on all kinds of places. Because it would just be so random that when you spawn in, players would start not to employ I know this spawn, I know the surrounding spawn, let me just quickly run up the hill and check the other spawns. Because that's what you do, right? That's what we do in every match, basically. Every raid, we start with that.
Well, to be honest, if you want really random stuff, you need to have a randomly generated maps, which they do not do, because it's probably too hard to implement, etc.
That would be hard, yeah.
Hunt is really suffering from the main problem. They have only one map.
Two maps.
Two maps and that's all. Because nothing is happening, nothing is changing. Of course, you can throw a lot of different interesting things on that map, but it still remains the same map with same location. They're not even being tossed around across this map.
Yeah.
It's all very stable, very set in stone.
You know everything, yeah.
Boring. You know it, yeah. You know it.
You get to know it, yeah. What I had in mind for Tarkov, I mean, of course, if you touch one thing, it will, the butterfly effect will go through the whole game, and who knows, maybe even as we see, even Nikita doesn't know what changes what results in the future. Yeah. When he changed the thick items case quest, that is a very good example.
All these small changes are not the biggest issue, right?
No, they're not.
There's going to be so big changes to Tarkov that it's going to change the game.
But I would even love them to change more. By the way, we are in the beta phase, and people, of course,
Imagine having momentum in the game and inertia and all that stuff.
Inertia,
yeah.
Does Hunt have inertia? I forgot.
Normally 12.11, but
no, Hunt. Does Hunt have inertia? I don't remember.
A little. It has more inertia than Tarkov has.
If it has more, that's okay. But that hasn't changed either. Even in that game, the AD spamming, the AD strafing is just weird.
Yeah, for sure. But it's in like the AD strafing in PUBG was also insane. But PUBG had way more inertia than Tarkov has.
Well, yeah.
But like with momentum and inertia, just speaking somebody from spawn could also have very big penalties, because you're not just AD strafing after something. You're not, running, sprinting, doing this weird movement not to get hit because you missed your shot on that spawn, right?
Well, yeah, but it's what I think it would be if we have an ideal world, like in an ideal world, I would love to have the map made of building pieces. How in Hunt the map is made of compounds, but as Oji said, the compounds are always the same orientation.
They are the same. How they designed their maps and how the game feels like that. So randomizing the maps would totally put me off, and I would stop playing.
Yeah,
the game.
I think so. That randomizing the map totally would not achieve anything really. But just as a thought experiment, if you have certain sections, which will be designed by themselves, like for example, take this dome area, for example, it will always look the same. But you can get this chunk of the map and put it here, and then get this train station and just Flip it around, put it elsewhere.
I wouldn't like it.
I know, in Tarkov it doesn't make much sense. But if you make it so that there's a different game mode, for example, an arena mode, like imagine arena mode where you don't know the map. Because the map is always shuffling around. Like you spawn in and you maybe arena mode is not a good example because for PvP you should know the map eventually. but if you go for a different mode for PvE where you need to hunt bosses.
That's what RPG is about, right? Learning your environment, knowing your stuff, like.
But I would love to know the game mechanics, know what you can and cannot do realistically, or how you can survive things. And then you are tossed into an environment where you haven't, like you got into this military base, which is reserve, and you have no clue whatsoever. You've never been there. Like your PMC never been there. I'm sure you remember like the first time you played this map, or the first few.
Yeah,
I know, I loved it.
In the hours.
Yeah.
I think it's punishing if people can't learn the maps anymore. That's punishing to us.
Yeah, on one level.
It's already as punishing as it is, even when we know the map.
It is punishing, but also punishing because of just how the game should be punishing. Like this is a game which you don't survive more than 50% of the time, which is by design. Like you should experience that feeling of loss, basically. I don't know. What I know is that even if the map stays static, like this same, then of course there are the pros of it actually handcrafted into one big arena of what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And then you can, but the spawns can be literally everywhere. If there's if you spawn here in the middle in the tents, for example, of course this would be the best spawn. King building right away. You need to tackle the loot system in order to make that work. But if the loot system is tackled, then it's pretty much so random that maybe you spawn in here in this tent, but someone spawned on the other side here at the the sandbags, and you don't know because it's so random that there are not. But how many of these? Like 20 something, and there are 12 players or 13.
Like imagine spawning in and hearing somebody straight away at your right. Okay?
Yeah.
I spawn in on the first floor, and he spawns in. No, I spawn in on the second floor. He spawns in on the ground in between the tents. I just go to the fucking window, blast him. Done. It's unfair.
Unless, like I said, you can orient, like in Hunt, you can orient yourself. Look around. Okay, I know where I am. And if you would never be maybe in the open. But even if you are in the open, for example, from here the tents, you can run in all the directions.
Yeah, true. But with
if the other spawns.
With Tarkov's audio cues, you can't just sprint away because you just move one muscle and they hear you.
Yeah, but you would also hear. You should also hear someone, running inside with wood and stuff.
That's the reason. So pushing a building from outside when somebody spawns in there, he completely has advantage over anyone coming there.
Yeah, but that's why there should be a more complex algorithm with taking care of maybe if the random system, maybe if someone spawns in the building, that means everyone else will spawn in a covered area. Like there's gonna be no tent spawn, for example, just because we know that the first guy who spawned inside, even here, like in the bastion.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, we don't put the guy in tents because then okay, let's go ahead and put everyone in some kind of cover.
Yeah.
But even as small as to spawn in this shack or something, and then you need to run out. But there's so many different spawn points that people just won't say that, oh, let's check the shack, because sometimes people spawn there because they spawn in this shack, this underground, whatever, in these buildings. Like there's no way to check everything. You can still have that moment when let's check that because last time I spawned there, and there will be a guy and you can kill him at the spawn.
I think
it's gonna be rare.
This reminds me of I think why battle royales with the big battle simulations do the parachuting in. Because that way it's always random and you choose where you go. And if somebody goes with you, you can see it around you, right? You can prepare in your mind, bro. We are going to land.
Speaking of which, I actually had a thought about this, that even extractions and infiltrations, spawns. I would actually love to see maybe a separate game mode, because the game is so much set into this. You spawn and you go do your stuff. But I would love to, especially if you have squad play. I wouldn't make a separate solo queue though. Like that, I think it's fun to have. You have no idea what other teams you go against. But it would be fun, like if it's teams or even if it's solo, there would be various infiltration points around the map, which is basically a separate little tunnel area or something. Like you come with a train, for example. But the thing is that everybody, it's also random and you won't know which is active. But you can spawn in that. Like for example, if on reserve there's 12 spots, but there are 3-4 man team, squads spawning in, then it would be awesome to just, they are coming through this hole in the fence. This one squad. Another one comes with a train at the same time, of course. But they wouldn't know because it's far enough away.
Yeah.
And it would be nice that you can have an actual infiltration point. You need to get into the area. And you can get immediately attacked by scavs and raiders, whatever. That could be also fun. But that's not the point. Like you're getting spawn killed by raiders. But
no.
but in general it would make and also the same with exfils. If we talk about those, I would also love that to have some kind of animation of actually doing something.
Yeah.
And just standing there and waiting 30 seconds, obviously, just for someone else to be able to headshot you while you are there. It's just so weird, like guys standing around in place.
Some exfils need work.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like there's a lot of exfils in the game already. There are like especially the newer ones in the game.
Yeah, I like those. I love those more.
Pretty solid. And if they put in claymores and like C4s and stuff like that,
which they are planning to,
like secure the location, make sure that we don't have to worry about getting out in that period of time.
Exactly.
So that would change the game a lot too.
And I would enjoy it to have a. When you have the car extract, you don't need to wait 1 minute. Like how immersive? I don't know. For me, it's very immersion breaking. Like you hand over 7,000 rubles to a guy to take you out of the map, and then he waits. He listens to the last I don't know, Britney Spears song, and it needs to wait. It needs to end before they actually start the engine. While the engine is running, by the way, the whole time. Like,
true.
So it's not even that.
I think the claymore in the game will be a bit broken because in real life the soldiers won't use claymore in the building because when it blows up it's so big.
It is too big. Yeah.
So I don't know how they make it in the game, if they make it.
We'll see how it goes.
I think they plan to add it next, right? The C4s.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen with those. But
see what it does.
It is interesting. So what I would do is basically randomize the spawns all over the map, while of course taking care of the loot as well. And taking care of the loot.
It would be cool if everybody like kind of jumps into the map and has to choose their own location.
Do you want like literally an airdrop kind of thing?
Literally like an airdrop kind of thing, because that would change the game a lot.
You know what I would do then? I would do maybe pick, because every battle royale does the airdrop thing.
It's kind of like how the army works, right? We go to a location, we airdrop you out in the middle of nothing. You don't know what it is.
Yeah, but this in the lore there should be any army anymore. But it's interesting that they always like they said it's a no-fly zone, but at the same time, it feels like but there's a guys like Skier and Proper and everything. Like there would be a no-fly zone, sure. Like of course there will be people flying all over the place.
Or you come in with like trains or something, or
that's what I wanted to say. That you can maybe pick which vehicle or which way you want to come in, and then you come in an underground, like a metro or something.
Yeah.
And or a surface train or an airdrop. Yeah, cool. That could be also like you can choose your own spawn point kind of way. Yeah, that could work too. But but ultimately the loot needs to change, I think. What do you think about that?
For sure. It needs to change in some ways. But like I like the loot as it is in some ways, but I hate it in others.
Don't you like it because you can learn about it and then you know how to do it better, more efficiently, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the only thing.
It's so punishing Tarkov is so punishing that when you play the game for like 1,000 hours, you kind of start knowing when certain loot is gonna be there or not. Is it worth to push a building or not? You know. I kind of like that we can sort of predict how it's gonna go, even though we can't, because you're never sure.
Well, you are never sure because of the random, and I think randomness is a very good factor for in Tarkov.
You can take the example of tech light on interchange. Like we ran I think we done a lot runs yesterday on interchange, and I never found any video card or something like that.
Just
Yep.
Well, what I would do with that really is that I would just simply not have top tier loot lying around in shelves. Just none whatsoever. Like there could be lying around shelves on the various pliers and whatnot. Yeah, why not? Maybe even med stuff. But the
I would like stores to have them on the shelves, but just not have open stores. Like have the stores not with keys, but with animations that you have to break into them.
Oh, I see. That would be also workable. But you know what? I would love to have containers which contain the items. Like there would be a graphics card, but in its box.
And you need to break the box.
You need to actually either break the box or you need to actually use your search skill in the game. You can't just pick it up and run away.
True, but then you're like punishing the low-level players, which are already just learning the game. So
it's the current strength and endurance system punishes the low-level players just like that. You can. Sure, I have no, like, for example, I have a lower-level character right now. I have no chance of running into tech light and looting it first. Just no whatsoever. Even with the best spawn, I get there later.
Yeah.
Just simply because I'm slower.
What I like in Hunt is that you actually can win even with the shittiest gear available from the beginning and with random free character. If you are patient, if you have luck, and etc.
And if you have skill.
You just can win.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting that
in my opinion, it's good.
Yeah, in Hunt it's designed into the game flow. That
I like that about Hunt.
And it's to some extent it's true in Tarkov in the sense that you can face step someone with a very shitty ammunition.
Yeah, but that's not a win.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not. And let's be honest, it's not really how it goes down usually. Especially not with the laser beam, no recoil meta, full auto guns. Like
even then, I get tapped by low levels with good ammo all the time. They just have to have good ammo. That's the thing.
Yeah, different types. Yeah.
But in my opinion, like if we go somewhere or we decide we're going for PvP or we decide we're going for loot, it's never both, and that's what we miss right now.
I think so. Yeah.
I think you need better aim instead of better ammo, because if you tap someone to the face with a classic PS ammo with an AK, he's dead.
True.
Yeah, that's going through most face shields
but
anyway.
People wear face shields with high ricochet and it ricochets off it, and then he shoots 850 rounds a minute at you. So you're dead.
Yeah, the full auto is like a good thing in Hunt is they don't need to care for full auto except for one gun. And even that has a heavy recoil, and it's actually
a heavy recoil.
It's fun to use, by the way, with that big recoil.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, and even in Tarkov, I think most players would agree that the beginning of the Vibe is much more fun because of the longer fight, because of the harder to control recoils.
Oh yeah, we see that in player count, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's no coincidence. But yeah, I would what you said, and it's also true for MMOs because like Tarkov is trying to masquerade itself as an MMO. In the sense of that we are all in this together.
In the back of my mind. Yeah. Because I got into Tarkov because I'm a long-time MMO player and I liked shooters, but not one shooter would tickle my feelings as an MMO would do, because I didn't have that feeling of like being in a world. In
a world with a larger community than the 10 people. Yeah, in the match.
Yeah, in Tarkov you're not just in that lobby. You're there to survive that raid. You know. You're going inside the world with the gear you bring. You gear up. You have some emotional value to stuff you bring in sometimes.
Yeah.
So it has some role play value, basically.
Yeah.
Which generic shooter usually doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, other shooters is just like run around, shoot people, and you're never talking to anybody. You're never encountering anybody that's like doing something funny or just trying to bait you into some stupid shit, like throwing a backpack at an exfil, and I'm just going to search it stupidly enough, not thinking about somebody's gonna cam that, you know?
Exactly. Like the shooter born in heaven kills in interchange, right? Throw the backpack and
somebody did it to me this wipe.
It usually works.
They just threw a full backpack of shit stuff in the middle of exfil. I passed there, I'm like, oh, a backpack? And I just start searching it, man.
Why not?
And you get tabbed.
And yeah.
But that's so cool. That's so cool that you can do those things. What I like,
that's what I like about it. It's
when they
more
introduced,
like RPG and
when they introduced, for example, and I guess this could be used in Hunt as well. I would love that. I loved when they introduced the leaning when you are prone.
Yeah.
And you can still do it. That you can lean, you can free look, so your head is a little bit contorted, you know, and then you look like a dead body. Of course, a trained eye can see that there's something fishy here. The gun is not that way and stuff like that. But you can actually, especially with next to other dead bodies, you can pretty much just play dead, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I killed a few players like that.
In Hunt?
No. In Hunt you can't do that. I think
Tarkov,
you can't even go prone in Hunt. In this one, you go prone, you contort yourself a little bit, and most people just see, you know, the contorted body posture is usually for dead people.
Yeah.
Scavs or whatever. And then you can just play around with that. Especially if you drop some shit on the ground. At one point I did it because I heard a two-man coming in my way. I think we were in some kind of building. It was 2 wipes ago. No, it was 1 wipe ago when they introduced this leaning prone, whatever. And then I heard footsteps. I had a kind of like, I think I had an SKS, like a shitty gun, and it's not so shitty, but you know, a basic one. And I was thinking that if they see me out in this, I'm in the room, I'm basically trapped. If they have nades, I'm dead. So what if I just go out to the corridor where the other bodies lie, and just went out there, go prone, twist yourself, and they ran past me, and I could get up and shoot them.
Yep.
It was the greatest feeling ever. That I could have not won that fight, even against one of them, like up front, I think. But this way, they didn't check everybody on the corridor.
Yeah.
And even if they do, at one point it happened to me that the guy walked up to me and wanted to loot me. And you know, they were just confused that there was no loot menu.
Yeah.
They
don't start shooting. It's insane.
And some of them do. Like I died as well like this. Like they started and I didn't react fast enough, and they shot me. But it's like that. Some people don't shoot because they don't like what's going on. There's a body.
And they just move on. It's like it's just a stupid staff.
I can't push. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Their teammates is like, where are you? You're leave that scav.
Yeah. And for the thing is, you can also throw your things around, and that I like as well. Like you can just throw even your rig. Because if there's a rig on the ground, there's a body and the backpack, then you think, oh, someone looted that already.
Yep.
You might as well check the rig, but you know, just let's check my backpack and see what happens.
True.
But this is the good moments in the game that they can emphasize more. And basically, circling back to what we said about touching on the MMO things, is that most of the MMOs struggle with that too, bringing PvE and PvP together. Because obviously they are different things, and people who want to PvP, they don't necessarily want to kill the boss. They don't necessarily want to get into scav hunts, whatever, or loot. Like as you said, we also basically do that. We either go in to make money in a raid, or we go into PvP.
Yeah,
but it
that's
will
the
be
state of the game right now.
Yeah, and that's the state of the game right now. That's the status quo. And I would also love them to merge it in a way that both of them are. I wouldn't say they necessarily need to balance it so that everything is as profitable or something like that. They don't need to balance that. But
they would just do something with the scavs. Like, make the scav AI even better. Not like Terminator better, but make them do more stuff. Like, make them move better and stuff like that. Make him run faster, make him do tactical positions and cheeky angles, but have them have good loot.
And yeah, that's what I meant. And also
Right.
one more thing, since we're talking about spawns and dynamic loot and all that kind of thing, and we touched upon it, that the most of
have
them,
like an IT scav run around that have a chance on
yeah,
graphics cards and
yeah,
stuff like
exactly,
that because
exactly,
he's on the way to a job to fix the computer for somebody. Like have
Yeah.
them have a story.
yeah, exactly, different types, yes, all over the
Yeah.
map.
Like
And also,
Sanitar that can have stims and, his goons, like and Rashala with his police uniforms because they were like former policemen or something.
yeah.
But have the scavs have like little factions like the IT dudes and like the medical dudes and you know.
Which they try to do, like there is the the starting sparkles are there.
I would like to have
line it
loot
up.
more dynamic on scavs.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way PvE and PvP is like emphasized. People will go for scavs and try to loot them in the middle of the open because that's a fucking IT scav. He can have a fucking graphics card, man.
For example, yeah.
Yeah.
What I would do is another problem is also in Hunt. In Hunt, it's a problem, but it's not that much because after the boss's tokens are extracted, then you basically lower the timer and just everybody needs to get out of the map.
Yeah. I loved in Hunt that you have like these medical zombies that you have to have healing. You just go kill one
and
of
you
those
know that they will have a healing item if you drop them. Yeah. But and even in this one it could be like the guys, like someone especially in reserve, like one of the raiders would have that patch on. That they are the
It would be fucking awesome
medics,
if they had like
just,
an armband with a cross on it.
Yeah, let's just get the medics. But really, the point is that even in this game, the raid timer is the same, but usually all the action goes down in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and maybe I even exaggerated, maybe the first 5.
Well,
in many cases,
minutes usually.
But the action,
on the map,
but the loot is
on the edge.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes is like the edge, and then the deeper part of the map, especially reserve, like.
For example, in the reserve, I don't even know how many times it happened to me even last wipe that I ran to the king building. I thought I was fast and it was already looted, like clean.
Yep.
Nothing was there, not even a plier,
We did it on interchange yesterday.
Yeah.
And we did so much runs, like Chris said. We had like the best spawns in the game for Tekla, and we weren't even the first ones.
Mm-hmm. But then everybody's teams when high endurance, high strength, they're just running faster.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, but it would be okay.
Like speed hacking, wall hacking cheaters in there that you just unlucky.
You know what?
Zooms to it, takes it, gets out.
What I like to do, I would change it in a way. So these things I'd like to suggest is easy to do, kind of, in development perspective. Like you can do it, like you said, you could do scavs which spawn in purposefully with higher tier loot. Mm-hmm. Maybe even multiple like that. They're not just walking around like 3 of them, but no, actually 10 scavs walking around.
Like in hordes.
Like because
working together tactically.
Yeah, that's right. Or even on the raiders as well. Like the raiders have looted something already, and they have stuff. So it's as they spawn in, you kind of replenish the loot on the map, for example, and you can count on it. Like of course that would be random too, but you can count on it. That if I stay in the raid for 30 minutes, it's not going to be just nothing. And
I think the scavs should have a better gear. I don't mean the loot. I mean the gear because I think it's pretty annoying. They can one-tap you with an AK without a buttstock. Like they shoot it with a laser beam AK or something
well,
like
it's
that.
AI for you.
If a scab one-tap me, do it with a fully modded M4 or something like that.
Yeah.
There are raiders for that, right? What even raiders have no. Yeah. What I would do basically, I would do away with the raid timer whatsoever. Like I don't think we need the raid timer at all, unless you wanna have a certain mechanic which you need to get out because I don't know, the area will be contaminated or whatever. But I don't want them to go down the the blue wall and stuff like that. That's just insanely stupid. But what if there's no raid timer, but as the timer advances, like you are longer in the raid, the better the gear the scavs spawn in with, the better the gear the raiders spawn in with, and eventually they will reach the meta level kits. So you are actually incentivized to stay in 45 minutes because after 45 minutes you can get a new HK with meta stuff.
Okay,
I told you in the past that that's a really good idea.
But at that point, maybe even the spawn rate increases. So you need to leave the server eventually because you're gonna be dead soon. And not because it's the timer and I got caught off 10 meters from the extraction and that's when the timer ended, because that happened to me so many times. I don't know if I'm the only one struggling with extracting in time, because I like to stay in the raids, but it's just insane. And
I used to, not anymore though.
I know. You can learn it, but I would so much like it to. No, the game should force me out of the map because of survival, because of game mechanics. Like eventually the scavs will overwhelm you. You should get out.
Yeah, or like on reserve.
Mm-hmm.
There's a nuclear bomb in the middle of the map or something that it's like almost going to explode.
Yeah, but that's also a timer, if you think. But that would be better than just a simple timer.
Or like a gas bomb, like it's a gas that spreads over the map and it forces you to the outside of the map again, or like down into the buildings.
I wouldn't go with that because it's the similar green wall and blue wall stuff that most other games do. But if you do it in a way like, for example, the train comes in reserve, the train extract, and you know that, okay, I really need to go with the train or I'm risking a lot because maybe after the train went, there's another train coming from the other side, and that has a lot of raiders. A lot. And they don't just stand around, they actually start scooping the map, And if they find you, it's gonna be a hard fight. Maybe it's worth the risk too, because they have really good gear with graphics cards in their backpacks and stuff. But very few people could survive such a raid at that point. And I would love to watch that on stream with Landmark, for example. Just imagine Landmark killing, I don't know, 12 to 20 raiders at the end of the match, while constantly going back actually to the extract, because he knows also that this is gonna just get worse. So that after one point you need to just get out. I don't know. I would love to see the present game mechanics could be used to enforce these rules. Basically, like you have even just simple scavs could force you out of the raid anyway, because you're gonna be out of meds, you're gonna be full backpacks, etc., etc.
Like at one point in time, you get tagged and cursed.
Yeah, either that, and circling it back to the suggestion, like or how in Hunt you can see if someone is close because the clues and the audio cues. Like in this game, you can say that, for example, if you introduce VoIP to the game, voiceover, but of course you can turn it off. Maybe even with a simple hotkey, you can just mute everyone else, because I know that some people are immediately reeing because, oh my god, voice in Tarkov, which I never understood. Like, you can just turn it off. But if you have that, for example, and you need to have a radio, just like you need to have a compass, for example, like you have a radio, and if you have a radio, you can have audio cues on that. For example, if a raider team is coming. Maybe not for players, but maybe even for players, like if you want to use a certain feature in the game, then you will kind of betray your proximity. Not your position, but there will be some static on the radio, and you can tune into a channel to see that, this is an enemy squad. But even if you don't use it with players, it would be great to use it with, for example, raider squads or scavs. That you can know that, okay, let's go close this building and see what's what, and then you would just hear cues of there's communication on some channel here.
Yeah.
And for example, that would indicate a certain type of scav, like the IT scavs, for example. That would be also cool. That's how you find them. Like how you go at night to find the cultists. You would go with a radio or some techie stuff to find the IT stuff.
That would be.
And this is like mini games in the game, but still using the same mechanics, that you need to go there, you need to be in cover, you need to be, alert and stuff.
These events would be good, I think.
Which one?
These events could be good.
Yeah. Because I've never seen them.
It would
done.
Make the game more dynamic without breaking the game flow of the maps right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would even like if they started doing these kind of things with the present post-spawn system and everything, because it's just
it would make
incentive to stay longer, incentive to do something after level 40.
Yeah.
Because yeah, and also these things are converging players to positions, because you can say that there are boss spawns which are happening not in the beginning of the map, for example.
Yeah.
There are the present ones, but there are new ones which are, I don't know, raider bosses or something, which spawn in with like the train, but not always, or with a different train, or they actually get airdropped, and then everybody knows that okay, we are now kind of either fucked or very rich, like this, depending.
Yeah.
And that happens maybe also in the random time, just like the train does. I love how the train extraction works on reserve. That
We have helicopters in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
like,
do
they
have
could
airplanes.
use those helicopters to like make a boss come in or whatever later in the raids.
And and you can have indications of this, like signals which are also in game. Like there's the helicopter in reserve, and you spawn in the beginning. You do some stuff, and I don't know, in the first 2 to 10 minutes, if a helicopter actually takes off in the map somewhere, or maybe actually immediately after spawn, because then every player is far away, and then everybody sees the helicopter go away somewhere, and that's a cue that okay, they're gonna come back in 30 to 40 minutes. So this is either gonna be a shorter raid for you because you don't want to be there when they come back, or that okay, this is gonna be a boss spawn later, but you don't know exactly when or where, because I don't know, there will be various landing spots, and that's where the helicopter comes back. But that's also converging people, because you would see the helicopter going above and see that okay, it's not this landing pad because I'm just waiting for them here, but it passed by me, so I need to run to the other one. I don't know, I would just love these dynamic things.
That would be cool.
In the raid.
That would be very cool.
And it would incentivize PvP in a very different way, because now it's basically just let's go to where people try to loot, then you will kill some pistolings.
Yeah.
And the other guys who are also killing the pistolings.
Yep.
And that's how you fight.
Pretty much it.
That's how you fight other Chads. Which is fun by itself, because the game mechanic is fun. Like the movement is fun, and the gunfire is fun. The gunfights are fun. But you can deploy that or use that in so many different ways, and they don't do that.
Lately, I fell in love with the KS shotgun.
Yeah,
it's so fun to use.
Yeah,
it is a good one.
It's a monster gun.
Oh my god, Chris, you killed Killa and like 4 people with it in one raid.
Yes, that was my first experience with the shotgun. Like, you can shoot the monster with it.
but it's truly, like, have you looked it up on Wikipedia? The real life counterpart of that shotgun? Just
no, but
look it up. It's a very bad gun to get shot with. Let's just leave it at that.
It literally shoots shrapnel at you. It's not.
And it's
just a shotgun. You can kill an elephant with that if you want to.
Oh my god.
It was I think
Yeah, but
So yes, yeah. I don't know.
The Russians make something.
They make some good things.
Wow.
All over the years. Yeah. So basically, this is what. These are the main topics I think that they need to start work with at the beginning. Of course, apart from netcode and making things server side and stuff. But if you want, we can touch upon that too. It's just not. I think
can't fix that.
I don't know how Hunt works, but I remember that in Hunt, maybe I had an experience once where I felt like that. Oh my god, there was a weird connection. The guy was lagging, and I couldn't hit him because of that, or I got shot because of that. It was maybe once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
No, I think once.
Netcode is better.
I remember only one time, and otherwise it was always like, okay, yeah, I could have been a better aim in that shot, and that's why I died. Like, I never had the feeling, as in Tarkov, it's over almost every second gunfight is weird in a way.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So yeah, they should work on that. But yeah, we don't have any like how to design it better. They could use how Valorant does it, and that's it basically. That's the suggestion. Or how Hunt does it.
Valorant has a good anti-cheat and stuff like that, but the netcode still is like more. Tarkov is just built on a very old engine.
I don't think that's the problem. I really think that it's not the engine itself the problem, but the way how they used it. Like they used this classical approach of everybody will have good connections. If they have under 100 ping, it should work like a smooth butterfly.
I don't know.
Yeah, but no, that's not the case.
I don't know.
I mean, they had, and there are people who are abusing it outright in all the other games too. Like there are people who are using lag switches and stuff.
For cheaters, how Valorant does it, that's perfect. But like how the game is coded and built or whatever, I'm not a netcode engineer, so
yeah, who knows what they actually do.
It should get better though. Like it's at this point the desync and weird fights or like hit reg. Sometimes it feels fucking amazing and sometimes it's just trash.
Yeah. And you can feel it. That's what we discussed the other day. That you can have this feeling of oh, this was weird.
Yeah. So like you're doing something, you're shooting him, but by the time you shot it, you're like, was he still there?
By the way, many times it's just the the end score screen. That I shoot 2 shots, which should be counted because I heard them on my screen. I felt like I hit the guy.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it shows me that there was those shots didn't even register. Not even hitting anything. It was not even counted that I fired the gun. And I'm like, was I dead earlier than I actually fired the gun? Because likely from the game's perspective, that's what happened. In that case.
Yeah.
And it happens. Like if it happens once every 10 fights or 10 raids, sure, it happens. But it actually happens every second time. It's not good.
Depends on the day though, and especially in the weekends. If you play in the weekends, it's worse. There's more players online. The servers
strain.
are suffering.
Yeah,
more people are trying to DDoS the servers, I guess, because they have a lot of attacks. BSG says.
Yeah, that must happen as well. I mean, every game has that problem. I think every game has these kind of weird things that people just.
So like weekends are not the best time for PvP.
Yeah, but yes.
Before we started the podcast, I was on customs, and I killed a 3-man squad. Got their money case. They looted it from the market room, and I started going to extract, and somebody with an AP-20 shotgun just tapped me to the head.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Welcome to Tarkov. Please head.
I played a customs raid this morning, got DC'd, tried to reconnect 4 times, couldn't, so I just left the game.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that happened.
That's like what I mean. Weekend servers, bad servers.
Yeah, but even with that, if they work on this, I can understand that would take ages to actually do it right. Or redesign everything. Or maybe even the next engine upgrade, they need to recode some stuff and that will solve some things. We may never know, like we don't know the source code.
Well, that's the thing. The next engine upgrade is going to give them more possibilities for tools. Also the netcode and stuff on Unity 19 is better. Like the possibilities for netcode on it. That's what I understand from it.
Well, they must be better, but I don't know. Like it really depends how they use it.
They will have to do a big transition, but once they're there, most of it should be easier for them to like monitor and stuff like that, or tweak and all that kind of good shit. BSG also said with the modernization of their servers that they went up to sometimes to 120 tick rates, and they tested it and it worked. So. That sounds good.
Yeah.
That would be nice, but it's not even necessary. If those ticks would actually model a real model of how the game progresses, because that more often than not, that's the problem. I think
a higher tick rate will result in less desync.
For an engineering standpoint, because if the clients are not good, and you are expecting the answer from clients from many of the actions the player is doing, is that because what as far as I know, what Valorant does is that there is a separate simulation. There's a simulation of everything that's going on the server. Like if the last thing you said, if the last thing they heard from your client is that you're running this direction, then suddenly you disconnect or whatever, then you're gonna be doing that. Or maybe it's an extreme example because you disconnect, you would just stop, but it depends. But the point is that they don't wait around for the client to, oh, did you shoot maybe earlier than this guy should? It doesn't care. Like if it doesn't fit the server model of simulation, like for example, that's why it's also very good against cheaters, because sometimes the cheaters are just doing the simplest thing of telling someone that, hey, telling the server that, hey, I shot that guy. Even though you didn't, the server said, "Oh, okay, it's a death then." And what the server would do in those cases, like seeing that, okay, what are the positions? Is there line of sight? It's not possible for you to shot the guy from there, so it's neglected, like it's thrown out. It's not even processed as a request, and that's very good. If they would do something similar in Tarkov, it would be nice. But yeah, I think it's down the line.
Well, Unity 19 should help them with it. So.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I would, even if they didn't change anything, like even the desync stays the same, only you need to wait for, not that many players at the same time and stuff. Even then, I think if they would spice up, if they would change to a dynamic loot system in which it's really spread out. I would love, for example, to see that any key in the game you get should be good. Not the best, but it should be good. Like it should be a nice thing. Oh, I got a key to a room. Yeah. And you never know, like, okay, maybe you would know from the wiki that there's a sports bag in the room. Okay. But maybe there are other containers that are spawning in all over the place and randomly. So you don't know, like you can write it on the wiki that, once I saw an ammo container there, or like a dog's case spawned on the bed. But it would be rare, not all the time. And you wouldn't go there because, okay, if I want to get a dog's case, I need to go to this. If I want to get a lead axe, I need to go to that room. No, you can go to any room almost. Maybe, like you said, that it should be some kind of like categories of loot at certain places, because it would not make sense otherwise.
Yeah.
But it would be nice. Or the other thing is, to converge back to the scavs discussion, that scavs should either pick up the stuff before a player can get there, and then the scav will walk around, but not just in a small circle, but they could actually just patrol the whole area or the whole map in groups with the loot, and nobody would ever know that it was spawned in the beginning or not, or just spawned on the scav. Maybe they don't even need to pick up stuff, because that's more programming. They just need to spawn the scavs with some good stuff.
Yeah.
But they would walk around more. And that just spreads out so much.
Or the events.
The
events.
Yeah.
Things that happen on the map that make it so that, like.
Yeah, it's worth it to actually, take part.
Like, for example, you can play reserve 5 different times, but there's 5 different events that can happen on the map. Like, for example, there was somebody expected a tech delivery, and there's a car full of tech that crashed somewhere in reserve.
Yeah, and it's not always there. Yeah.
There's like a few locations where it could have been crashed, and everybody's kind of looking for it and staying in the raid, because there is a chance that we find this.
You know what, right? like I said with the audio cues and stuff, it would be awesome when you spawn in, and soon after, yes, you can hear the helicopter fly, whatever. You can hear a crash, for example.
Yeah.
And then you know that okay, it's this event, but you still have no idea. Like there are 5 spawn points or something, and you need to check them, just like with the boss spawns.
If you were close enough at that time, you could have heard the crash.
Yeah.
And if you were too far, you can just see the smoke suddenly from the burning car.
For example, yeah.
And then it's like, oh shit, somewhere there, something's happening,
Yeah. That immediately converges people who are there for PvP. There would be good loot. And
they would contest it and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I would love things like that too.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be that difficult to do. And the same thing is true for Hunt, by the way. I to be honest, I would love more Tarkov in my Hunt, and I would love more Hunt in my Tarkov. Basically, that's what I reached the conclusion on.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah. Although I would actually, if I would do it on my own or something, like I would have any power over this, I would love to have 2 different games still, but have a hunt-like game in which the inventory management is simplified, but you get the same gear in, you have the same loss, more or less, but it's a different type of
I like
thing.
the inventory of Tarkov. I hate the inventory of Hunt.
Yeah, it's also it could be improved.
Now, in Tarkov, the inventory reminds me, you know, of the old RPGs, like Neverwinter Nights, shit
Me
like
too.
this. It was, I loved the games of that time, but I'm not sure that I love this in the shooter mixed with the RPG, because
Oh, yeah.
all those slots and everything. I'm not saying the Hunt inventory is great, because you just scroll through it and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you go through the hotkeys and etc.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that
maybe it could be a bit more easy UI wise in Tarkov, but I understand that Tarkov is the game that doesn't want to make anything easy at all.
Yeah. But like in the beginning when I started playing Tarkov, I was struggling with the inventory a lot too and like managing it. But after a while, you kind of know like I will not hold on to these items and all that kind of stuff. Or like these rigs are not worth to hold in my inventory. I would rather take the money and buy a rig that gives me better space than, you know. And you have like your own ways of managing it. And now my inventory is like always clean, always perfect. I just click all the time in my inventory without problems.
Yeah, but it's also like it's an interesting thing, because in Tarkov you have all kinds of barter things and very like the whole separate economy. While in Hunt you have the Hunt dollars and the blood ones, but you can just buy the basics. Like you have the tools, your weapons. For example, what I miss in Tarkov is that in Hunt they even tell it to people in the beginner guides on YouTube. You know that you should have 2 weapons. Like both of your weapon slots should be filled because the weapons are complementing each other, and etc. etc. Which is if you play Hunt, even a few times on your own, you would figure that out. Like I have 2, why wouldn't I take 2 weapons? In Tarkov, how you think that I'm gonna take only this one because it's I'm gonna lose the other one too. It's a big loss, and how bad is it?
Or it's just like if I take this one, I can do everything with it.
And that's interesting that it's actually fun. I tried also in Tarkov that, especially when you go sniping, or if you want to do sniping in raids, it just lends itself. Yeah, take your sniper and take a secondary, or take something with you, and it would be so cool to that be the norm, because the various weapons are better for various case scenarios.
Yeah, and then you have an M4 or an HK with 1,000 muzzle velocity that can basically snipe with a red dot. So you can do everything with that one gun.
And that's the problem, yeah. That's why it's there, because you can just snipe. There's a red dot, which is true. Like to an extent, it's true in authentic real life as well, but not that much. Like if you really want to go long shots, you're not bringing full auto bullshit. If you want,
no, but you can tap with. That's what ARs are built for, right?
Yeah, but but not
especially with the longer barrels, you're making a sniper out.
But longer barrels will be like. I think ergonomics should have a bigger effect on the game. Even I know they patched.
They do now.
They know a bit better. It's better.
Oh no, it's screwed up. It's
screwed up. Is it screwed up?
Yeah, the HK doesn't. The long barrel, the HK doesn't have the ergo that it has last wipes, for real. It's way lower. The SA-58 got screwed up ergo-wise. You can't put a silencer and a 50 rounder in it anymore because it's 0 ergo.
Oh yeah.
0.
I know that.
Like the bigger guns, all the DMRs, you can't shoot a DMR like you could a while ago.
But even that, even that should be like, it's not really the number; it's what it affects. Like you should still be able to use that gun that way. It's just the difference is what's interesting is that you should want a shorter barrel if you want to go indoors. You should want a shorter gun if you do more ergonomic stuff. You should want an SMG doing certain things. And Tarkov is twisting it a little bit so that it's always that it ends up always the HKs and the M4s at the end. because of the ammo and because of the attachments.
And all those guns with like shorter barrels and all that kind of stuff, it's very situational, even in real world. They will not use SMGs if they first have to cross 300 meters of open field or forest, you know? They would probably take ARs because they are way more versatile.
What I mean is that I would love it that you would be incentivized to take both guns in that situation.
Yeah, true.
because you would change. But no, why would you change from an M4 in the current state of things?
But that's kind of the reason why they are built, right?
I must say, I also do not appreciate in Hunt right now that you can actually loot good weapons like random loot spawns on the map, on the bounty hunt map, because before the weapons were rare. You were going into the game with whatever you had available and had chosen, and so things that you could pick from different hunters,
that was
high
the
level
only one.
ones. You remember how we picked this, Mosin Automate when we had shitty beginner characters and we just screwed the high level guys. It was fun because it felt like real trophy. And now you can just get sparks lying around or something like this, and it's quite effective weapon, and you just get it.
Yeah, it's interesting that they introduced the spawns.
They're trying to make it more casual. What I feel at the moment, they're trying to make it more attractive for new players. It was already not really punishing because you don't die in Hunt until you reach level 30 or something, or level 15. But you have this period of grace in the beginning when you are a total noob. And now they're trying to make it more and more casual, which I can't blame. They want more players, but I don't think that it will really help to change
but it's so interesting
in longer span.
And also it's
will probably attract new players, but they will get bored of it too.
You know what's
will
that's what's interesting to me is that Tarkov blew up really in the end of 2019, right? That was the big boom of like the Twitch drops.
2 years ago, like 1 year ago, that was the biggest top of Twitch.
And that makes it how many? I don't even know. I think it's more than 200,000 people, right? Concurrent players.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting
Way
that
more.
Hunt is the 10th of it or something. Like I think they were celebrating just recently because this was of this new boss introductory event that's going right now. I think they celebrated like 20-something thousand players.
Wow.
And I was surprised. I thought it's much more widespread that are known that Hunt is
still
very good game.
Niche.
It's very niche. But you know, Tarkov is also very niche. It was even designed to be very niche
They
from the
are
beginning.
considered hardcore.
And
Mass of players.
Yeah, but even Hunt is the kind. I'm not saying the same. Of course, not the same community, but the same hardcore type of game.
The thing with Hunt is it's repetitive, but it's that kind of repetitive that it gets boring after a while. For me, it does.
Oh, I see.
It's repetitive, but it's like way more unpredictable in some ways. Or like you can have good and bad days.
That's true. It's true that in Tarkov, the randomness, like for example, this is what when people come in and suggest that they would want solo queues and stuff. I always think that even in Hunt, it would do it good to.
True.
It's nice to have the solo queues and the duos and whatever. It's nice, but it would be awesome to have a challenge league or something when that you don't know. You just don't know because in Hunt. Or in Tarkov, people come in and they think they want solo queues, but not really, because it would be fun to try it maybe as a separate game mode or something, but in the core game, that's part of the fun that you have no idea who you spawned in the map with. Maybe a 5-man, maybe a lot of duos, who knows, or other solos. Because it's completely random. There's not even matchmaking. In Hunt, there's matchmaking based on they try to estimate your skill level, which is fun on the one end. But what's funny is that whenever I went, in Hunt in the mindset of let's go PvP, I died about the same time as I die in Tarkov. While in Tarkov there are much better players than me, I'm pretty sure. Much better, just with aim and everything, and map knowledge, everything.
I feel like Hunt's hit registration with some guns is just a hit scan, which makes the game way more easy.
It shouldn't be. Like,
but it feels like it.
There's no bullet drop in Hunt. It's interesting that there's no bullet drop.
Yeah.
At all. You need to read the shots because of the speeds.
Maybe there's no hit scan, but it kind of makes it feel like it sometimes.
Like there are muzzle velocities, but no drops. It's also interesting that you don't need to adjust at all. Just lead your shots because of the muzzle velocity. And then
also like Tarkov is unpredictable in that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I can be naked and tank a 995 to the chest, and sometimes I'd be naked and I die to that first 995 to the chest.
Yeah, because of the fragmentation. Yeah, there's also all kinds of random stuff in the hitting. And damage calculations. Even with the armor, by the way. Even with the armor, it's so interesting that I just learned this recently. I knew it was kind of off. Like I knew that it's not as simple as this is the penetration level and this is the armor level, and if this is bigger than that, and like I knew it's not that simple, but I never really put my finger on it, like how this does work. And I saw Veritas making a video of it, I think, and also the Battle Buddy app is out. Like you can test yourself. Like it's so interesting that to have that even the higher tier ammo would not penetrate a level 5 at first shot for the most cases, and it's just interesting to me that they went for this kind of randomness in the fights. I kind of like this better in Hunt, to be honest. In that there's a damage. If you hit a dead body part, it's a damage. That's it, and you can guess how many shots where. But of course, again, there are no laser beam full auto, no recoil weapons in Hunt. So.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. I don't know. What I think is that they should work on small things with content. With Hunt the same, by the way. I think one of the main drawbacks of Hunt is that after you've learned to tackle any of the zombies in it, or zombies, these enemies, then that becomes boring too, because you get so good at it. I remember, for example, that I didn't want to go near a meathead. I had some very bad experiences with
but
getting
once
close.
you get something like bomb lance,
the bomb lance,
it's fun. You go close to him
and also if you just learn the movement and how the AI behaves, then I find myself that it's a horror game and you should be afraid, which I loved in the beginning. But after a while, I'm happy running right next to a meathead, because I know when he's gonna swing. I know I have the timing to go to cover in time.
And it kind of gets annoying instead of being horrifying.
Yes, gets
with
annoying.
The spider, for example, I was freaking afraid of
spider
at the beginning, just of the sounds. But then you realize that you just can use antidote.
You can. That's true. Yeah, it's so simple. Yeah. Oh, and also just when I realized that most of the bosses, actually all of the bosses, you should be even better killing with melee weapons.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so interesting. It's fun when you first learn how to do it.
Almost everyone.
Yeah, and because it's silent. Like when you swing in melee, they can hear, of course, the agitated boss, but you need to be rather close for that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to make one shot, which is cool on one end, but on the other hand, it becomes like it's a chore. So let's go. I know some people are actually playing that they don't even go for the bosses. They're going for the people, of course, the PvP, and they wait for others to kill the boss, and then they get out with the tokens. But they don't go with boss fights because it's the same boss fight over and over again in every map. And that's what I love in Tarkov, by the way. In the Tarkov, I never had the same boss fight ever with even the same boss. Like it was always, even in the same location, like gas station Reshala is never the same. I don't know.
No.
Okay, there are some similarities in how you approach it, but it's just so much fun. Or
after a while, you kind of know where they will generally be. If you see one there, the other one will be probably there. Like
it's bad with Sturman, the Woods boss. You can just know where they are. It's just I don't like. I would love. For example, this is another suggestion. I would love the bosses to actually patrol, like go somewhere.
Yep.
That would be so insane. Of course, it would be very punishing too. Like if Sturman starts to walk around, there's gonna be a lot of dead bodies.
Oh, imagine Sturman being on Sniper Rock.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Like, that would be an actual boss to go and take out, right?
Yeah. That would be an interesting
And then have like a tunnel going into the mountain and up, where the goons of Sturman are like literally holding the halls,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one way in, so you have an impenetrable fort to get to Sturman.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would make me reevaluate my stance on grenades. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's a good way to use grenades.
That's exactly why we should have grenades, because people can do the same thing to us too, especially in teams of 5. I told you, like, I have one good experience in Tarkov with a team of 5. It was like me, Chavez, and 3 dudes that played airsoft together in a team for years.
Yeah.
And we were actually having really, really good comms. We could hold down like basically half of customs, and we wouldn't die. We know exactly what was happening where. It was awesome.
But that was good communications. Do with a simulation
just
like
an
this.
Impenetrable fort with like good angles everywhere. Everybody was spread out and holding an angle somewhere. Nobody could come into us.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, this is exactly what we need. I think
that's what Tarkov is built for. That's what
that is. That's if they said
that's
it.
my
I think
most fun experience in my whole Tarkov experience. For real.
I haven't even thought of mine. I know I like the boss hunting aspect of it very much. But then again, I like PvE a lot in general. I think the boss hunting is very good, especially with the sprinkler when you are tackling the bosses, just like in Hunt. But you know, Hunt that's the main objective. But even in Tarkov, you know that some other people will come as well.
Yep.
Like, especially when there are lots of nades going off.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a giveaway of what's going on.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool. All right.
There's a lot that can be done in Tarkov.
There's definitely a lot, and we barely scraped the surface, I think, of even the simplest things. Yeah, okay, fixing the whole spawn system is not the simplest thing. But for example, literally just make it so everybody loads in and only the match only starts, or the raid only starts, just like in Hunt, when everybody is loaded in. And yeah, there will be potato PCs and you need to wait for them, but you need to wait for them even now. But these are simple changes. Yeah.
Yesterday I was watching Jesse Kazam live.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of people in his chat asking about, like, what's your opinion on the state of Tarkov and all that kind of stuff. And he made a very good point, though. Like, we're all worried about what's going to happen with Tarkov, and we're losing player base, and some things were better in the past than they are now, and stuff like that, right? But like,
well, not me.
Nikita made a game that nobody else wanted to make, and this is just what he said, right? Nikita made a game that nobody else wanted to make or dared to make.
Mm-hmm.
And he proved that it's good because people want to play it. He convinced people that never would touch hardcore games to play the game and fall in love with the game. So he proved us already, if we just let him finish it.
Yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Maybe it will be alright, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering if they plan to change that big changes which they announced with, you know, Streets of Tarkov and everything. If they manage to make that work, or do you know, even half of what they promised.
Oh yeah.
That would change the game so much that all these conversations about, for example, the flea market and how it's there and not there, it's moot. It's a moot conversation because the flea market will change so much.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's not gonna stay like this.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
and maybe even the other things. I would love to see, but to be honest, this was always my fantasy as I was growing up with various games I enjoyed. That it would be so good to see the game itself in various forms. Like, you know, having you could think of it as leagues, maybe, like having your own character in a certain league, and then you level up the character there, with a certain rule set and type of things. But then you can have another character with the standard, like as we play the game now, for example. And I would love them to try that, by the way. I know that it's additional servers and whatnot, but the point is that the player base will not grow just like this. Like the same 200,000 player would want to play anyway. So you can, even if you have the same servers, it's just one of the servers running this type of the league and the other one is running the other. I don't think it would be that demanding in that sense. And they could actually try out all these tweaks and changes even more at the same time, just by saying that, hey guys, just like how they do test live, as far as I know, they are doing that now. You just need to apply and stuff. They could also have an open test live, like you just create a character here. It will be starting at level 20 because they want to try something around level 20 characters, whatever. It doesn't even matter because they can vibe that too. It's just the point that it would be different. For example, they would come up with a new spawn system or events, and they would not change the ongoing vibe because it would throw up everything. But they can have a new separate league that, hey guys, in this one, there are, Gluhar and his goons are coming in with a helicopter. Or whatever. Just try it out.
Yeah.
That's why we are in this beta phase of getting somewhere.
I think it's also just more work for them, and they try to just keep everything running while they are developing.
Yeah, but it's just so interesting that they're still adding these maps, and it's a tremendous work. Like, I don't even know if they will ever get to, or when they will get to actually, getting the end game get together and
by the
stuff
end,
like that.
Like in a year or something, Nikita said on the podcast yesterday that he wants to know when they are releasing next year. So
that's a little bit frightening to me, to be honest, because that might have
a general idea, like that's when we can probably finish the
game.
But
I mean it's frightening to me because what I see there is that maybe they will never get around to fixing the netcode. Then maybe they will never get around to fixing the spawns or any events, because they're gonna in the next 1 year I think they can make all the maps, for example. That's awesome, but that's it. Like, you would have all the maps.
No, but that's
I don't think they would make open world again.
When they are going to finish, so they won't finish the year.
That would be yeah.
It
would be healthier.
To have a good idea in a year of what is done and what should be done next and how long that is going to take based on what they already did. So we should get like a general roadmap by then.
And also in the EOD, like the bigger edition, there's all the DLCs included, so we kind of know that they are planning with expanding the game after release with certain things.
Let's hope so.
But who knows what that might be? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think even Nikita knows, by the way, what will be there.
The thing, he doesn't even know when they are going to finish the game or what's the plan when they want to release it. So he wants to get the idea by the end of next year,
Yeah, pretty much. That's
he doesn't know.
Creative process. What can I say?
Yeah, that's what he said in the podcast. That's exactly his word. I want to get an idea to give you guys a date when we are going to release by the end of next year. So he's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what I would do in his shoes is to really focus on some of these pressing stuff, which would just prolong, like it's obviously a problem that a player base is halved or even worse after 2 months after the wipe. Like, they should come up with something to do, because it's not good that this happens. Or they should wipe more frequently then, or I don't know, like I said, multiple leagues. And those things are not hard to code, not hard to implement. It literally is just having they are also playing with their own stuff in their own environments. That's the same thing. Or they did the Punisher tournament. They did a private service for that.
Yeah, true.
It's not hard to do, even with their current workload. And these are simple things.
That you can always pitch them for ideas for your own events. So
if
you want to just test stuff out into the game, I guess you can pitch them for a private server for an event.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Maybe we should put together some concrete stuff after the end of this. Because what I'm planning to, we kind of kind of at the time that I think we should end it here now, and then let's reconvene again and talk some more about other topics
Next week
as well.
is a patch, so I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. That's for sure. Yeah. Is the factory boss coming next week, or it's coming later?
No.
Ah, I would have loved so much.
They
New bosses, I might think.
12.11 should have the factory expansion or something. Yeah.
No, this is cool. Because
12.11 would be a very, very big one, he said. This one is a small, more technical update with like Steam audio and some small items that will come into the game. A new AR and a new pistol.
Yeah, and all the usual stuff too.
I don't know how the melee boss will work. Really curious about that.
Yeah.
But
me too.
I read the comments under the video, and somebody said the boss or his minions, if there will be minions, will throw in flashbang to you and they will melee you.
Yeah, but because someone called it a sledgehammer boss, like outright. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is I would love to have more viable melee options in Tarkov, to be honest. Like I love that in Hunt you have very viable melee options against players as well, and the bosses are kind of obvious, like we discussed. But
we're getting a new Russian army knife now or something.
Yeah,
tactical knife.
Yeah, that would be hard to get as far as I know, and maybe that would be just as good as the machete or the sword. But
it's gotta be the best one in the game, probably.
But it's cool. It's cool. I like that.
I will not be surprised if it does more damage than the Red Rebel.
But yeah, Red Rebel is not really for damage, you know.
Red Rebel does the highest damage in the game.
Is it? Isn't it the sword, the tactical sword? I think it's the tactical sword.
I thought it was the Red Rebel.
I think the Red Rebel is more options just to.
Melee damage, if I know it right. There's stab damage and
chop.
Maybe
chop and stab.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes weird because, funnily enough, the stab damage of the hatchet is bigger than the chop damage, which is kind of like going against anything that's logical.
Red Rebel I think is just almost for flex and for extract.
It's for extraction, yeah. It's for mountain climbing.
Sure.
It's for mountain climbing.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because somebody sees you have Red Rebel, they just think, oh, his juice, he got.
And running in with
the same with the sword.
And running in with a pistol, right?
Yeah.
And
you're dead, but you're still flexing.
That's what this game is about, because most of the times you're dead.
The tracksuit of Killa. I'm dead, but I got tracksuit, boy.
See, I got a tracksuit, yeah.
Form that tracksuit.
Oh yeah, I still have to kill Killa too.
Not 100 times.
We can run some more KS runs on Interchange. Have some fucking bully fun.
Yeah. Alright guys, let's cut it short here, or long, or whatever. And then we'll see how we can progress with this. I'm trying to make notes of all this. I'm trying to put together something, and maybe later down the line we can have an actual Trello board or something with all the suggestions and ideas, and we will I don't know, put them in a tier list or something. Because some of the things are ideal world, and it's gonna never happen, obviously, or unless someone else develops a different game which is similar. But some of the things that could be done, some of the things could even be done like, hey, let's try it out on a private server kind of thing. I would love that too. Yeah, we will see. We will see where this goes. Alright, thank you guys for attending this. Thank you for talking. We had a good talk, I think. At least I felt good about it.
Just so good, nice. I think.
And then let's do it some more, and hopefully something might drop out of this at the end.
Yeah. There was some very good ideas.
Escape from Tarkov 2.
Generic loot.
Escape from Tarkov 2 is in the making already, so.
Let's hope not.
Employment is near. Yeah, that's so weird, right? If they release it, then you will worry about like, okay, but how is the lifespan now? Because at least now we know that it's not even released yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we will see. We will see. So thank you guys again for everything.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bro.
Cheers. Bye bye.